Hi, everyone. This is Jordan here with Crypto Awareness, Aware One. I just wanted to get on here today real quick and talk a little bit about some of the things that I see occurring. And I wanted to kind of bring up this concept of decentralization as the theme of the next decade to century. Now, a lot of this really kicked off in 2008, obviously, from the financial crisis. But I think it's actually been going on longer than that, like on a more macro level. If you look in my life, I've watched a lot of movies. There's a movie called Hero. I think it was with Jet Li, and it talked about a story of a warrior that was trying to, I believe he was trying to like kill the emperor of China at the time because there was things going on and he was doing a lot of bad things from a lot of people's perspective. But in the end, he had the opportunity. He was in the room with this the emperor, and he had the opportunity to potentially assassinate him, and he didn't. And what he like saw was through the course of their conversation, the emperor had kind of showed him that what he was trying to do was unite China as a big country compared to a bunch of separate small provinces, or yeah, whatever they're called. And because through his explanation and stuff, he understood, the hero guy understood this. He realized that he was trying to make China better and bigger, and because of that, he realized he might have been in the wrong trying to take him out. So he ended up leaving the room that he was in with the emperor, and I believe he got killed by the emperor's guards, just because that's how the story goes. But the movie was trying to instill this concept of like sacrificing for the greater good and bringing to make a bigger thing. And I think that's kind of the way that our whole world went over the last few hundreds, if not 1,000 years. And you can just look back in time. It's a cyclical repeating pattern. You had, we don't really know the actual history back in Egyptian times. There's guesstimates out there, but I don't really trust exactly everything that we're taught. But there was the Egyptians at one point, and then that civilization clearly went away. Rome rose up, and they made their big territory and stuff, and very centralized all the power at the time. And then global things started happening, such as even back then climate change happened at that time. Things started turning south, and people started coming to Rome, being like, "You said you were our rulers," and that caused a breakup and dispersal again of the Roman lands and stuff. Again, decentralization. You had the same thing with Mongolia and decentralization. The same thing in our own lifetimes. We've seen this happen with the UK. The sun never sets on the British Empire. Again, they centralized all the power around the world and consolidated, and then something happened. Might have been the American Revolution, if you want to look at it. There's probably a lot more things even before that. And they had problems in India too that caused the decentralization of this power again. And most recently, it's happened here in the U.S. The U.S., even if you just look at the United States, originally there was 13 states. They were a loose collection of states. And then look at the history, more states came on. And we were right at our current system where all these little states have their rules, but overall they're collected into the centralized power of the United States. And that's like kind of what sets the United States maybe apart from the rest of the world. I know even in China, I don't know if it's just 13 or there might be more. I'm not too familiar on that. I have to look more. I don't want to speak too ignorant of it, but different provinces, and they kind of recognize this too now. And I was reading an article, I think, on Zero Hedge today, and was talking about one of the things that they're worrying about is as far as the Chinese economy, and all these different provinces are starting to, if the financial situation in China gets worse, they'll kind of buck back against the system and the lifetime appointed Xi, whatever his name is, because the whole system is built to try and make life better for the people, even if it's on a collective level. And these provinces too can kind of revolt against the system and demand more independence from the greater China as a whole. And that's what in the U.S. here, there's regularly talks. People always just kind of poo-poo it, like, but secession of different states from the United States. And if things got really, really bad in the United States, most of us don't ever contemplate the fact that that's possible that states could pull away and don't even see that as a conceivable possibility, but it can be. Nothing is certain. Everything changes. If you just look on a long enough time scale, this whole planet and the power center of this planet has continually to change. So what I see right now happening is another one of these like decentralizations of these consolidations of power. Again, this is just cyclical, the nature of living in a duality, centralized, decentralized, centralized. And neither the thing here is I'm not advocating for either one as like the pure correct way. In the dualistic dimension that we're in, you can't have one side be the perfect way, because then there's a whole bunch of people left out, and just by that nature, it's not perfect because those people are left out. I think it's really about finding out where you're at in life with yourself, internal versus external responsibility, power, and kind of choosing to adopt the system that fits best for you. Again, we're all in different places, different understandings of the world and where we want to be. So it's really about you finding what system works best for you if you want to be taken care of and just have a simple, easy gig and work for the state or the government. You can get a federal job, but when things like this federal shutdown happen and stuff like that, you can't necessarily, in my perspective, you can't complain about it because that's what comes with the territory of doing that thing. So me, I like to be more individual. I do cryptocurrencies because I'm in control of my money or my funds. It's not in a bank. If I lose it, it's my loss. I can't go to anybody and take it back or complain and say, you give it back to me. But that's me operating from a more internal locus of control. And then again, this is me, the decentralization concept. This is me. Think of people as contributing their energetic power to society. We've centralized all of our collective energy into society right now. And some people like myself, I'm going to pull it out and see how I can manage it somewhat on my own, be part of the society, but manage my little energy input, including finances and stuff like that. I still pay my taxes and all that stuff, but I'll manage it more because I don't want to just be taken care of on a certain level. Again, I'm not saying one side is better than the other. I'm all about balance and being aware of the fact that we're all different people and we have our own different perspectives and desires, wants, needs. And I don't say another person can't have what they want because I don't want another person to tell me that. Again, for me, it's all about don't put another person down or hold or control other people, those types of things. If you're not hurting anybody else, you can do what you want. So again, returning back to this concept of decentralization, and I see this in a lot of places. Obviously, it's happening in the bank system. Just the concept of too big to fail banks in 2008, that whole thing is what spurred the creation of Bitcoin, as far as we know. And it's taking all of our finance. We're like, well, we can slowly take that too big to fail thing and chip away at it till it is like small enough to fail. And then we'll all be like, out, I'm out. That's probably what's going to happen for a lot of people if the majority of people pick up on what's happening and actually participate. Again, a lot of people want to just be taken care of. They don't want to get too big into what's going on or revolution or changing the current system. Even if it gets really bad, which it looks like it's going to, I don't know, Maslow's base hierarchy of needs, like belong, or even the concept of belonging. Feeling like you belong in a society, even when society is crap and it's really hard, you still have that belonging. So it gives you some sense of being. And that's what some people may lean on. But myself, personally, I don't want to rely on any outside force or government or whatever to try and take care of me or make things better if things go bad. So that's why I'm moving to cryptocurrencies, and I'm seeing this pattern of decentralization hitting all over the place, even for education and stuff. Our education system is starting to change a little bit here in this country, but it's because there's all however many kids there are, they're all being taught the same exact thing. They're trying to make standards and yeah, standards and rules that everybody has to learn and do, but not everybody is the same. And when you make everybody learn the same thing, you create a bunch of people that think the same way and do the same things. And that is not a way to create to create the change that is needed to keep your society growing and expanding. If you keep doing the same thing over and over and you stagnate, and you eventually that will cause you to die. And that's kind of where we're at right now. America, we've outsourced all of our jobs. We haven't focused on the STEM classes. We've been more financialization of money. That's how we make our money. And now that's kind of coming back to bite us because we don't have a manufacturing base that really built the middle class. And we got a bunch of people. One of my jobs I work for as a behavioral consultant, and some of the funding of that comes through the government. So I know I work for people with disabilities that they can't really work or can necessarily contribute to society in a financial way. So they are supported by government programs, and I offer support to those people, and I get paid through those government programs. So I understand that the government and federal workers and stuff like that, they do a lot. It has a purpose, and it creates a lot of jobs. But at the same time, as I'm working with these people and I'm studying more about the economy and cryptocurrencies, and I see what's going on in this global scale, I'm like, this is not sustainable. We got, especially now in this country, there's so many people on disability, and it's hard as heck to get on disability, but it's also hard to get kicked off of disability once you got it. So people get on it and then they kind of stay on it. And eventually we're not going to be able to continue to take care of people because the number of people getting disability is too big for the number of people working that contribute in tax and stuff. And eventually the people working get fed up with that, and either they're like, well, I'm just not going to work because all these other people aren't working and they're getting money. So why do I have to work to get money? Or they're going to start being more tax dodgy and try and hide their money and stuff like that, which I don't know. If you're working a lot, like I work 40 to 60 hours a week, and my full-time job, I get 30 to 40% of it taken out in taxes. And then at the same time, I'm working with people that get stuff for free all the time, and they demand more money and demand new housing and stuff like that. And I'm kind of like, man, I gotta work a lot and to get taxed a lot to help. And there's a bunch of people that just demand it. I don't allow myself to really go into the anger about that because I like peace is in it. You bring peace from within yourself. But I can see from the outside how people are starting to get upset about it and not wanting to participate in the system. I work 40 to 60 hours a week. I will probably do that until I'm really, really financially set and can kind of start my own thing. And even then I'm still going to continue working, but it gets frustrating to see a bunch of people just getting things without having to work and then demanding more. And it's clear that it's not sustainable, and it's going to be hard times for a lot of people when this changes. Again, a lot of what the U.S. is doing in funding comes from selling treasury bonds, and those are bought by people in other countries, and some people in America and corporations. But what happens when people start to think like, ooh, that's not such a good investment? What happens when other countries stop looking at the United States treasuries as if they're a good investment? They're going to stop buying them. We're going to have to kick up the interest rate on that even more, which we're already paying $1.5 billion a day in interest on our debt. That's outrageous. It's only going to go up. So just on a long, logical timescale, this system is not sustainable. It's going to decentralize. It's just the name of the game. It's almost like it's a frequency that we're in right now. We got too centralized. The whole world got too centralized. Even look at things like NATO and the UN. Obviously, you get into a lot of people in zero hedge and stuff like the globalist agenda. It's just the globalist agenda is this concept of centralization, decentralization. When Rome conquered the world, that was a globalist agenda. When Britain had the massive empire, globalist agenda again. Don't put the negative connotation on these words that they use and realize it's this cycle of coming together, dispersing. Even how the wars and stuff got fought, how the Americans were able to defeat the British, who stood in the line and fired the guns. They're like, we're not going to do that anymore. Let's go hide in the forest, just decentralize our fighting force and shoot them from all directions where they can't pick us off in any one big group. Same thing's happening now with the internet and how these big like YouTube, Facebook, Twitter, these social networks have become big and central, and now they're starting to control what people can say or do, deplatform people, shadow ban, and just kind of mess with people's lives that had learned to kind of get money from these platforms or really reach their community. The power became centralized in these organizations, and now they're starting to kind of do things and it's causing new little things like Gab or DuckDuckGo against Google or Minds and those types of things versus YouTube. These different platforms that give people a different way to express what they want to express without having to worry about being censored. And you see in this now too with these platforms, even with Patreon, they're also attacking people via the way that they're funding. So like MasterCard can make rules on what people can say, and if they don't agree with what somebody says, they can not allow that person on that platform to get payments through the Swift system or through MasterCard and stuff like that, and PayPal. And people don't like being told not what to do. Even if there's people, I'm not racist. I'm not out there spewing a bunch of hate, but I don't like what I'm seeing. I'm like, oh, because someday they can do that to me. And I would much rather go over to a platform where there might be people that are spewing racist crap that I can be like, I'm just going to mute them because it's my perception. It's where I choose to put my focus and my energy. If you're focusing on this hateful person saying something, that's your choice, and you're misusing your energy and time and perspective. All right, don't put it. That person is just ignorant and saying stupid crap. You putting your energy towards it is your fault. All right. So for me, I don't see this slowing down. The more people that catch on to it, and the more Twitter and these other things start to hold on or clamp down on different people, even on both sides of the spectrum, more people are going to just decentralize, disperse away from these things, and it's just going to keep on going. It's happening around the world with big companies. Look at was this one big company that was spread out around the country, but it was one company, and it's crumbling. All these old big institutions are crumbling, and this is not to say that some of these new decentralized things will eventually won't form into a centralized structure. Even Bitcoin could become centralized. That's what some of the people are complaining about with the Lightning Network and how it operates, and you have to lock in Bitcoin and nodes and stuff like that. The way that the world works, eventually, whatever system we all choose to use as a means of exchange, it's going to become centralized and have to kind of be worked eventually, because that's the cyclical nature of this whole thing. All right. So it's just looking at this and being aware of this, then to choose how you want to operate. If you want to operate in a way of trying to make financial wealth for yourself, you see this cycle and you play the game. You see that right now, even with the charts, Bitcoin went up and now it's way down. All the the money got centralized in Bitcoin. Now they're like, no, disperse. And now it's out of other places, and people just took it out of cryptos completely. If you want to be financially successful, this is the time you buy. Oh, be fearful when others are greedy and greedy when others are fearful. People are scared to crap of cryptos right now. They think all this talk about it going down to $1,000 or $2,500. It's still okay, whatever. think on a little bit longer of a time scale. Don't work on this date paycheck to paycheck thing. If you can wait 2 or 3 years, buying Bitcoin, even if you buy it now from 4,000 and drops all the way to 1,000, and you kind of cost dollar average in between there, and then in a few years it's worth more than $20,000. Are you really gonna be upset that you got it for 4,000 instead of 1,000? No, but they play these mind games on you, and you read articles just because people don't think long term. Because again, I mentioned this in another video. We've been so trained to think week to week, paycheck to paycheck. We need to expand our time scale and have a little bit more long-term thought if we want to start having more control in our lives. So this is what's happening. Like the whole world is kind of decentralizing, so it can reframe itself and rework itself, and then approach it in a new way. Like if you like, I don't know, on the conspiratorial side, if I was a globalist, one of the things a global system will need is a single form of money. So Bitcoin could have been more spawned by these globalist people. Let's backdoor and think them they're thinking they're taking their way to independence, but they're helping us create this whole thing of a one world system. And that's what it's about. We already kind of have a one world system as far as the dollar is concerned. It's just that the United States controls it, and they can like bully people and deplatform people like Iran or North Korea off of their platform, which is a SWIFT financial system. So it's kind of, we're moving to a place where the global currency isn't controlled by one entity, and it's just going to create a new paradigm for how we operate. And I think that it will actually give more power to people and individuals once they start to reclaim that power. Again, it's really easy to just be taken care of and get out there and let a bigger system become a subject of the kingdom, and just do like when the kingdom says do this, okay, subject do this, and things will go smoothly. A lot of people are like, okay, let me just do that, and they do that, and things work fine. But what happens when the kingdom starts to fall? The subjects go down with it. That's what's happening right now. If you want to try and get ahead of this curve, then again, this isn't financial advice. This is my opinion. This is the way I see things going. But I've been around. I remember hearing about Bitcoin all the way back in 2009, and it keeps doing this same cyclical pattern of popping up, dumping down. But every time it dumps down, it's still higher than it was before it popped up, and eventually it goes up again. And this is just a long-term thing, and I'm thinking more long-term now. If you want to potentially be better off in the future, I would encourage you to start looking into this. Some really good currencies I like. Again, there's a lot of crap projects out there. 90% at least of them are not going to be around. Look for the currencies. Look for the things with viable technology now. I like the mining currencies. Even when it comes to like Bitcoin versus Bitcoin Cash, just on a technological standpoint, Bitcoin is a fixed block size. Bitcoin Cash is bigger. So that in the future, when there's just more data being transferred on the internet, Bitcoin Cash might be a little bit more user-friendly or handy. So they're both probably going to do well. Things like Ethereum and Ethereum Classic. Ethereum Classic, I think on the down low, is going to probably return better than Ethereum, just because there's something going on with it. And I remember a while back reading an article, and they said something about a space company or like NASA. Somebody was getting involved with a project that was being built on Ethereum, or it was doing something with satellites and space. Now, I couldn't find that article again, but you have President Trump talking about Space Force, you get all this woo-woo stuff, hypersonic weapons and whatnot. Like, something's going on with Ethereum Classic, I think. The fact that it's on Coinbase too, it'll probably do well. But I like Litecoin and Digibyte are two of my favorites, just because they're mined currencies. I mine Litecoin. And over the long term, they're mined currencies with fixed supplies. And as more and more people come on to cryptocurrencies in the next 5 to 10 years, think about that. We're talking about people in Africa, the people in Asia, the people in India that aren't currently really in the financial system of the globe are going to be brought into this system, and their work time, money, energy is going to be in it. So some of these projects that have been around, are established, are mined, I think they're going to do well over time. Like, it's going to cause, even people get on, mining takes up too much energy. Well, this will just force us as a society to develop better energy production and consumption. Again, another decentralized thing I'm saying. It's with oil. We focused all of our energy production, not all of it, a bulk of our energy production in this one commodity, oil. And it's ruled the world. The petrodollar is one of the things that might just be looked at as the basis of this whole current effed up system. And right now I see we're decentralizing away from oil. We're finding different ways. There's wind, there's solar, geothermal, nuclear, all these different types that are going to be built out, and probably some that we have that are under wraps because they're just like free energy. But we're decentralizing away from oil, and that too will bolster cryptocurrencies if you're not having to generate energy via oil and releasing CO2 and all this stuff, that whole climate change debate. Things are just going to keep evolving. We're going to develop technologies to better harness energy and all this stuff. And the possibility of 3D printing, and in the future, if they can, think about this, if they can 3D print commodities such as gold, like using energy on a molecular level to print a commodity such as gold, all commodity values would fall, if not completely to zero, because you can print things. And I people are like, that's crazy. That's never gonna happen. You don't know. Go ask anybody. Go back 50 years. Ask them what's real and possible. Take this with you back then, if it can work, and they'll blow their mind. So you don't know. We don't know. Nobody knows where technology is going, what has already been developed. But imagine them. We're all based our whole financial society on commodities such as gold and silver and things. What if they've already discovered how to, but they're trying to figure out how they can slowly move us, because we're creatures of habit that hate change, away from this old system of gold and silver and rocks to a different system, because pretty soon those things won't hold as much value. You can't just drop it on and be like, yeah, everybody lost their value. It's going to be, even that would take, like 20 years, 20, 30 years you'd want to spread that over if you were a competent leader. So there's a big decentralization push going on around the planet. I want people to kind of realize that and see what's happening and choose your moves accordingly. Again, some of my crypto, my top picks are Bitcoin, Bitcoin Cash, Ethereum Classic, Litecoin, Digibyte. I like Elastos for the decentralized web. Look into Elastos, ELA. Veritasium, they're veritizing gold. Like, people can buy gold, record it in like a Veri token, and then anytime in the future they can come back and redeem that token straight for gold. So I think Veritasium is going to have a impactful position in the coming world, as far as having a sound money system that's controlled by an AI algorithm platform that people can't necessarily manipulate too much, to offer free exchange, or not free exchange, but trusted exchange between even untrusted parties. Dash will be good as well. Dash are making bigger inroads into Venezuela and some of the countries that are having currency crisis right now. So I like Theta. I've mentioned that in several videos. Theta is they're decentralizing like streaming services such as YouTube and Netflix. Imagine that, right? Like, all these things they might not look very big now, but in the future, keep an eye on these things, because they will slowly creep up, and before you know it, our world's going to be different. Just think about what you were doing 7 years ago. I was here, I was there. And then ask yourself, was that really that long ago? And like, no, it was kind of like it felt like a couple days ago. You realize time moves faster than we think. I'm going to eventually get into some videos about health as well. I do a lot. I'm a massage therapist part-time, and I do a lot of health and wellness, and I teach it and how to extend life and stuff like that. I'm actually fasting right now. I regularly fast as one of the ways that people can extend life. But healthy, long, happy lives, financial security, that's what I'm here to help teach. And the way to do that is with awareness. So That's your daily dose of crypto awareness. I hope everybody starts to pay attention to the decentralization that's currently occurring in our world. Just start looking around and see what's going on, all right? You guys take care.